The Strait of Hormuz at 7:14 a.m. had been contested for 11 hours and 41 minutes. Not the kind of contested that produced a single dramatic encounter and resolved into a clean record entry. The kind of contested that accumulates in a watch log as a series of contacts, each individually manageable, collectively comprising a sustained pressure campaign that was designed to wear something down, not the ship's hull, not its weapons, but the specific human resource that gray zone operations targeted most effectively, the judgment of the officers making decisions at the margin of the permissible. The destroyer had transited the Strait's eastern approach at 7:33 p.m. the previous evening. The first contact, a Bogomar at 600 yards, closing, standard approach geometry, had appeared at 7:51 p.m. The engagement had been routine. LRAD, speed adjustment. The Bogomar had broken off at 400 yards. The watch log entry was 4 lines. The bridge team had managed it in 11 minutes. The crew had been at elevated readiness for 11 minutes. They had been at elevated readiness since, not continuously at the same level. The readiness level had cycled, up when contacts appeared, down when they broke off, up again when the next one appeared. But the cycling itself was the operation. The IRGCN had sent contacts at irregular intervals, not a swarm, not a single dramatic approach, but a sequence of low-grade provocations timed to prevent the crew from fully standing down between events. The watch had rotated. The crew who had managed the 7:51 p.m. contact were now at their rest stations. The crew currently on watch had not been on the bridge at 7:51 p.m. They were fresh, but the watch cycle meant that no crew member had had more than 4 hours of uninterrupted rest since the contact sequence began. The sequence had included, in order, the 7:51 p.m. Bogomar approach, a 9:17 p.m. parallel racing incident lasting 23 minutes, a 11:44 p.m. AIS spoofing event that required 34 minutes to resolve as a non-threat, a 1:33 a.m. UAV overflight at 400 feet, a 3:08 a.m. Channel 16 sovereignty broadcast without visual contact, a 4:55 a.m. approach by 2 fast boats that maintained 350-yard distance for 16 minutes before withdrawing. And now, at 7:14 a.m., a new contact. 7 separate events over 11 hours and 41 minutes. Each individual event had been managed. The IRGCN had not achieved any of its stated objectives in any individual encounter. But the operational question was not whether any single encounter had succeeded. The operational question was what the cumulative effect of 7 encounters over 11 hours and 41 minutes had done to the crew's decision-making capacity. Bridge CIC. New contact bearing 053, range 4.2 nautical miles. Contact is a single fast boat, speed 34 knots, heading 237, direct approach. No AIS. CPA estimate 200 yards. Time to CPA 7 minutes. 7 minutes. 200 yards. Direct approach. The watch officer had heard this briefing 6 times in the past 11 hours and 41 minutes. His hands were steady on the intercom. His voice was level. He pressed the call button for the captain's sea cabin with the same precision he had used at 7:51 p.m. and 9:17 p.m. and 11:44 p.m. and every time after that. At 7:15 a.m., the captain stepped onto the bridge. He had been on the bridge for portions of 4 of the previous 6 encounters. He had slept in 4-hour intervals, managed not to sleep in 2 others. The watch officer who had woken him at 7:15 a.m. was the same watch officer who had woken him at 4:55 a.m. The captain had recognized the voice before it finished the first sentence. He looked at the contact picture. A single fast boat at 4.1 nautical miles, 34 knots, direct approach. Standard profile. He had seen this 6 times. I have the con. He was aware, in the specific way that a commanding officer, after 11 hours of intermittent tactical encounters, was aware of the quality of his own assessment. Tiredness did not degrade tactical competence uniformly. It degraded the specific higher order functions that tactical competence required. The ability to detect novel patterns, the ability to recalibrate prior assessments in light of new information, the willingness to update a working hypothesis. Tiredness made the familiar feel more reliable than it was. The seventh encounter looked like the previous six because it appeared in the same tactical format. But looking like the previous six was not the same as being the same as the previous six. He stood at the center console and looked at the contact for 15 seconds before speaking. CIC bridge. Is this contact showing any behavioral difference from the previous six approaches? Give me anything that doesn't match the pattern. The CIC watch officer's response took 30 seconds. Bridge CIC. Checking. The approach speed is consistent with the 4:55 a.m. contact, 34 knots, similar CPA estimate. One possible difference, the approach bearing is 053. The previous approaches have been from bearings ranging from 028 to 077. 053 is within the range, but it approaches from slightly further east than the cluster we saw overnight. This puts the contact approaching from the direction of Bandar Abbas rather than the Keshem staging area. Bandar Abbas is the conventional IRGCN naval base, not the typical fast boat staging location. This could be routine or it could be a different asset class. Bandar Abbas rather than Keshem, a different staging location. The captain filed it and looked at the rest of the picture. The straight transit corridor. The commercial traffic, significantly lighter at 7:14 a.m. than at 7:51 p.m. the previous evening. The morning had not yet brought the full tanker traffic that moved through Hormuz by midday. The specific geometric advantage of the morning Hormuz light, eastbound at 7:14 a.m., the destroyer was looking northwest into the rising sun behind it, meaning the eastern approach bearing from which the contact was coming would be slightly backlit. The contact would have any available morning light behind it. The bridge crew would be looking into a slightly brighter sky in that direction. He noted the light condition. He looked at the FLIR monitor. The contact was resolving at 3.9 nautical miles as a single hull, fast, low profile, consistent with a pay cap or similar platform. CPA to contact 6 minutes 30 seconds. At 7:16 a.m., the fire control radar entered active tracking mode. At 3.8 nautical miles and 34 knots, the tracking solution was immediate and precise. If the contact had any EW capability, it was now receiving fire control emissions. Seahawk status? Bridge. Seahawk is at launch-ready posture. Crew was rotated at 0600. We have a fresh crew aboard. Fresh crew. The Seahawk's crew had rotated at 0600. The helicopter that had been launched at the 4:55 a.m. contact had been piloted by a crew that was now at its rest period. The 7:14 a.m. contact would be managed by a crew that had slept since the previous afternoon. That was the design of the watch rotation system. It ensured that the airborne asset always had rested personnel even when the surface crew was cycling through fatigue states. Launch Seahawk. Standard documentation orbit 400 feet. At 7:16 a.m., the CIWS entered passive thermal tracking mode. CPA to contact 6 minutes. At 7:17 a.m., the LRA deactivated. Directed toward bearing 053 at 3.7 nautical miles in Farsi. IRGCN vessel approaching from bearing 053. This is a United States Navy warship. You are on a direct intercept course toward our position. You have been tracked by fire control radar since your approach began. This is a seventh approach by IRGCN forces in 11 hours. Each approach has been documented and transmitted to 5th Fleet Command. Cease your approach and maintain a safe distance. Seventh approach, 11 hours. The LRAD broadcast named the cumulative context explicitly, not just the tactical status of this encounter, but the operational record of the campaign that had been running since 7:51 p.m. the previous evening. The broadcast was in Farsi, directed at a crew that was either fresh from Bandar Abbas or had been briefed on the approaching situation by whatever command authority was managing the overnight sequence. The contact did not reduce speed. At 7:19 a.m., the first friction event arrived. The Seahawk pilot's first report. Bridge, Seahawk. I am at 400 feet. I have the contact visual at 3.1 nautical miles, single hull, fast, low profile. Standard fast boat configuration. A pause. Bridge, I need to report something. I can see a large vessel behind the contact, about 2 nautical miles behind it, bearing 054, lower speed. The large vessel was not in the initial contact brief. I estimate it is 1,500 to 2,000 tons, frigate or corvette class. It is not on my radar because I am only looking at the surface picture ahead of me. This may be a new contact you need to add to your picture. A large vessel behind the fast boat, 1,500 to 2,000 tons. Not on the destroyer's radar because it was at the far edge of detection range and had been masked by the faster contact in front of it. The captain had the contact picture. He had a fast boat at 3.1 nautical miles approaching fast. He had a possible corvette or frigate at approximately 5.1 nautical miles behind the fast boat, not yet confirmed. He had 6 previous encounters in 11 hours. He had a crew cycling through fatigue states. And he had the specific novel pattern that his request at 7:15 a.m. had been designed to uncover. This approach was different from the previous 6. CPA to fast boat, 5 minutes. CIC, bridge. Extend your radar search sector to bearing 054 at range, 5 to 7 nautical miles. I'm looking for a second contact behind the fast boat. The CIC confirmed the second contact at 7:19:30 a.m. Bridge, CIC. Second contact bearing 056, range 5.2 nautical miles. Speed 15 knots, heading 234. Contact is consistent with an IRGCN Moudge-class frigate, large return, 1,400 to 1,500 tons. Contact is following the fast boat's approach track, a Moudge-class frigate, 1,400 to 1,500 tons. The IRGCN had a Moudge-class in service in the Hormuz area, occasionally deployed for assertion operations that required a vessel with more political weight than a fast boat. Its presence behind the fast boat changed the tactical reading. This was not the 7th in a series of identical fast boat approaches. This was a fast boat lead element with a frigate follow-on, a 2-phase approach where the fast boat established the close-range harassment geometry and the frigate provided the political and documentary weight of a conventional warship at range. The Moudge was the escalation. The fast boat was the distraction. CPA to fast boat, 4 minutes, 15 seconds. CPA to Moudge frigate, approximately 12 minutes at current speed. The captain made his tactical response to the 2-phase geometry. Fire control radar on the Moudge frigate also. 2 separate tracking solutions. CIWS maintained passive tracking on the fast boat. Seahawk, I need you to reposition. I want documentation on the Moudge frigate specifically. Move to a position between the fast boat and the Moudge at 400 feet and document the frigate. The fast boat I can manage from here. Splitting the tactical picture. Fire control tracking on both contacts. The Seahawk repositioning to document the frigate rather than the fast boat, the more operationally significant contact at this moment, because the frigate's presence in the encounter record was the specific novel element that the previous 6 encounters had not contained. CPA to fast boat, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. At 7:21 a.m., the second friction event arrived. The LRAD broadcast had reached the fast boat. The contact had reduced speed at 7:19 a.m. from 34 knots to 26 knots, visible on the radar display. Not a dramatic reduction, but a visible one. The CPA projection shifted slightly, from 200 yards to 240 yards. The fast boat was responding to the LRAD. At 7:21 a.m., Channel 16 opened from the Moudge frigate, in Farsi, then English, with the specific formality of a state naval vessel, rather than the IRGCN fast boat briefing voice. United States warship. This is an Islamic Republic of Iran Navy vessel conducting authorized patrol operations in the Persian Gulf. You are operating in waters adjacent to the sovereign territory of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran has observed that your vessel has conducted multiple encounters with Iranian naval and coast guard forces over the past 12 hours. The Islamic Republic of Iran formally protests the aggressive behavior of your vessel during these encounters. You are directed to depart the area immediately. Formal protest. Multiple encounters observed. Aggressive behavior. The Moudge's Channel 16 broadcast was constructing a specific diplomatic record, not a tactical demand, but a government-level objection to the cumulative pattern of the previous 12 hours. The IRGCN fastboat operations had been building a harassment record. The Moudge's broadcast was now constructing a corresponding Iranian government narrative. The U.S. vessel had been aggressively engaging Iranian forces for 12 hours. The counter-narrative was the Moudge's purpose, not the fast boat, not the harassment. The diplomatic record that would be presented to whatever international body the Iranian government chose to present it to. A formal diplomatic protest broadcast on Channel 16 in the encounter record, describing the U.S. destroyer as the aggressor in 12 hours of mutual encounters. The captain had been expecting something like this since the sixth encounter had followed the fifth at a shorter interval than the fifth had followed the fourth. The acceleration of the encounter tempo was a sign that the campaign was building towards something that required all the preceding encounters as context. The Moudge's broadcast was that something. CIC Bridge. Get me all Channel 16 transcripts from last night's encounters. I need a complete record of everything we transmitted from the start. While the CIC compiled the record, the captain transmitted on Channel 16 in English. Islamic Republic of Iran, Navy vessel bearing 056 from us. This is a United States Navy warship. We have maintained complete records of all encounters over the past 12 hours. Those records include the approach geometries of 7 IRGCN contacts in 11 hours and 41 minutes, each with fire control radar tracking data, Seahawk aerial documentation, LRAD broadcast transcripts, and CPA data. None of those encounters resulted in a collision or weapons employment. All of them were initiated by IRGCN vessels approaching this ship. The records have been transmitted to 5th Fleet Command and to the State Department. We are maintaining our lawful presence in the Strait of Hormuz and are continuing our transit. We will not alter course. All of them were initiated by IRGCN vessels approaching this ship. That specific sentence on Channel 16 in the encounter record that would be reviewed at every level of government on both sides was the specific counter to the Moudge's diplomatic protest. The narrative war was happening on Channel 16 at 7:21 a.m. in the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. destroyer had 11 hours and 41 minutes of documented records to cite. CPA to fast boat, 2 minutes 40 seconds. The TEL appeared at 7:22 a.m. The fast boat reduced speed to 18 knots. The CPA projection shifted outward from 240 yards to 300 yards. The contact was not turning away, but it was slowing, decelerating in a way that indicated the approach would be a documentation pass rather than a close-range harassment. The Moudge frigate held at 15 knots on its current track. At 7:23 a.m., the Seahawk pilot reported from its new position between the fast boat and the Moudge. Bridge Seahawk. I have the Moudge frigate on camera. I can confirm Moudge-class configuration, standard warship silhouette. I can see the frigate's bridge wing. There are personnel on the bridge wing with what appears to be camera equipment. They are documenting this encounter from their own vessel. The fast boat is now at approximately 1.8 nautical miles ahead of me, continuing approach at reduced speed. The Moudge's bridge wing documentation crew. The same equipment at the rail documentation posture that had appeared in the Abu Musa boarding approach encounter. The Moudge had come to document the encounter for its own record, while the fast boat created the tactical situation. Both recording, both building their records. CPA to fast boat, 2 minutes. The fast boat reached CPA at 7:24 a.m., 310 yards. Not the 200-yard CPA the original estimate had projected. Not the 240-yard projection after the first speed reduction. 310 yards achieved at 18 knots in a contact that had decelerated twice since the LRAD broadcast. The fast boat passed 310 yards off the destroyer's port side, continued southwest at 18 knots, and did not turn back. The Moudge frigate, behind the fast boat's track, reached its closest approach at 7:31 a.m., 1.2 nautical miles. Well outside harassment range. The frigate had not approached closer than 1.2 nautical miles at any point during the encounter. Its role had been the Channel 16 broadcast and the bridge wing documentation, both of which it had completed. The Moudge transmitted on Channel 16 one final time at 7:32 a.m. United States warship, the Islamic Republic of Iran, has completed its patrol operations in this area. We note your presence has been documented. Iran reserves all rights. All rights reserved. The Moudge's closing broadcast was the specific diplomatic closure of a vessel that had accomplished its documentary and narrative objective. The Channel 16 diplomatic protest was in the record. The bridge wing footage was in the Moudge's record. The formal protest of 12 hours of aggressive U.S. behavior was documented. The U.S. destroyer's record had 7 encounter logs, each with complete tactical documentation, each showing an IRGCN vessel initiating a closing approach, and each showing the U.S. vessel responding with non-kinetic measures and holding its position. The records were contradictory in their narrative framing. They agreed on the factual events. The fire control radar returned to standby mode at 7:34 a.m. as both contacts opened beyond 3 nautical miles. The CIWS returned to passive surveillance. The Seahawk recovered to the flight deck at 7:39 a.m. No one on the bridge spoke for a long moment. The officer of the deck was aware, in the way that bridge officers became aware after sustained elevated readiness, of the specific weight of the past 12 hours in his hands and behind his eyes. Not impairment, he had maintained tactical competence throughout. But the specific weight of 12 hours of intermittent high readiness operations in the Strait of Hormuz, in which each individual event had been managed correctly, and the management of each had cost something small, and the accumulation of small costs had produced the specific condition that no single event would have produced. He straightened his collar. He noted that his hands were steadier than his overall sense of tiredness might have predicted. 12 hours of practice had refined the steadiness, even as it had accumulated the fatigue. The helmsman had held the transit course through all 7 encounters. 7 approach contacts, 7 LRAD broadcasts, 7 fire control radar activations, 7 Seahawk launches, and 1 Moudge frigate at 1.2 nautical miles with a formal diplomatic protest on Channel 16. His hands had been at 10 and 2 through all of it. His standing order was the transit course. The course had not changed. The captain walked to the chart table. The encounter report would cover all 7 events in chronological order, and would include a specific analytical section, the operational pattern of a sustained pressure campaign designed to accumulate fatigue and degrade decision-making and the crew's performance across the full 12-hour sequence. The analytical section was not standard in encounter reports. He was writing it anyway. Full encounter report to 5th Fleet, 7 encounter sequence documented in full chronological order with individual contact logs, LRAD transcripts, fire control radar activation logs, Seahawk footage archives, and CPA data for all 7 contacts. Include the Moudge frigate contact as a separate section. The Channel 16 diplomatic protest needs to be documented and countered in formal reporting. Include the fatigue management section. I want the watch rotation log as an appendix, the specific rest intervals for each crew position across the 12-hour period. 5th Fleet needs to see the crew performed correctly through a sustained pressure campaign. He looked at the chart. The Strait of Hormuz transit corridor was nearly complete. The Gulf's western waters were ahead. Continue the transit. Notify 5th Fleet. Strait transit complete, 7th and final encounter resolved, no weapons employed across all 7 events. Transit report to follow. He paused. Resume standard watch rotation. The crew has earned it. Good watch. The record assembled here speaks in the language the ocean keeps. 7 IRGCN encounters over 11 hours and 41 minutes. The sequence: Boghammer approach at 7:51 p.m., parallel racing at 9:17 p.m. lasting 23 minutes, AIS spoofing at 11:44 p.m. requiring 34 minutes to resolve, UAV overflight at 1:33 a.m. Channel 16, Sovereignty broadcast without visual contact at 3:08 a.m., 2 fast boat approach at 4:55 a.m., holding 350 yards for 16 minutes, and the 7th and final encounter at 7:14 a.m., consisting of a fast boat lead element with a Moudge-class frigate follow-on. The 7th encounter's novel element, a Moudge-class frigate at bearing 056, range 5.2 nautical miles, with a Channel 16 diplomatic protest broadcast and bridge wing documentation crew. All previous encounters had been fast boat or small craft only. U.S. destroyer responses across all 7 encounters. Fire control radar active in all 7. LRAD and FARSI in all 7. Seahawk launched in 5 of 7. Weapons authorized, 0. Weapons employed, 0. Minimum CPA across all 7 encounters, 200 yards at 9:17 p.m. parallel racing encounter. 7th encounter, CPA, 310 yards fast boat, 1.2 nautical miles Moudge frigate. Maximum crew rest interval during 12-hour sequence, 4 hours. Minimum crew rest interval for any crew member in a tactical role, approximately 90 minutes. Watch rotation maintained per standard protocol throughout. Moudge frigate channel 16, diplomatic protest broadcast. Yes, at 7:21 a.m. U.S. destroyer counter broadcast on channel 16. Yes, at 7:21 a.m. Citing 7 encounter documented record. Moudge closing broadcast. Yes, at 7:32 a.m. Strait of Hormuz transit completed. Yes. Original transit course maintained across all 7 encounters. Yes. Degrees yielded, 0. The Strait of Hormuz measured in single encounters has 1 arithmetic. Measured in 7 encounters over 12 hours, it has another. The crew performed correctly in both arithmetics. The record covers both.